Hi everyone, it's Monique from ButterBeeScraps and we're back for our third installment of our mini album series. I'm going to start off with an apology because guys, honestly I don't think we're going to get to embellishing yet today, and the reason is I am really short on time for a tutorial this week. I have a big jewelry show coming up, but don't fret. We're going to learn some cool techniques today. Plus, I'll probably cram some more design theory down your throat. So if you're having trouble sleeping, flip on the ButterBeeScraps video and you're good to go. Anyways, let's get to it. Now, I have been thinking a little bit that these cute little booklets, or I don't know what you want to call them, they need more pages, don't you think? So I am going to turn this into a little signature. And I think what I'm going to do is just add 4 pages. So I basically want 2 rectangular pieces of cream or ivory cardstock. So as usual, I did not plan ahead. Why would I plan ahead, right? No, seriously guys, I don't have a lot of time to plan ahead, but all the better. Like I said, you see my creative process. So this is 5 1/4 tall, in case you forgot like me, and 4 inches wide. Now the thing is, we've left 1/8 of an inch all the way around, so we want the signatures to be 4 1/8 by 5 1/4. And of course we want the signature pages to be twice as wide. So we're looking at 8 1/4 inches wide by 5 1/4 inches tall. And look how prepared I am. I don't even have my ivory cardstock. And you guys, how perfect is that? You only need 1 sheet. Because, what do we say, 8 1/4? I'll have to cut that a little bit off. Okay, so I'm going to go with cutting it this way first. Sorry guys, I know. I need more space and to raise my camera. Okay. So I'm cutting that at 8 1/4. Five 1/4 times 2, and if I was thinking, I would have grabbed 3 sheets of paper because we have 3 of those little puppies in the album. Okay, so now I'm going to score each of those puppies in half. So I will be scoring at 4 1/8 inch. Should have 6 of them here. Now, I think I've told you this before. Remember, you score from the top, you fold down. And I am actually going to round the corners with my corner chomper so that it matches the pages inside, or the mats inside. Okay, about time. So I'm just going to do 2 of these for each of those little folders. So this is where I'm going to throw some design theory at you. And where do we put the holes? Now, if you've read my blog, you've probably heard me talk about it before, and we've actually already used it in this album, but it's the rule of 3s. I don't know what it is about the number 3, but it is like one of the most eye-pleasing things. You don't even think about it consciously. For example, items grouped in 3. Actually, items grouped in odd numbers look good, 3 or 5. If you've got a page, for example, here, our mini album, if you recall, where where did we fold this? At 3 inches out of 9, which is a third of the way along, right? So, third. So basically what I'm getting at is, and if you, even like belly bands, don't put a belly band in the middle of your page. Put it a third of the way along your page, because I promise you, it will look miles better. So how do we use rule of threes here? I'll tell you how. I am going to, the full length of, this will be close enough. We're going to go, so this is 5 1/4 inches tall. A third of that is, oh my goodness, 1 3/4. Whoa! Woohoo! Bright green desk, yay! 1 3/4. Yes. So what we need to do is center our ruler on the pages of our signature here, right along the fold line there. And we're going to mark 1 3/4 inches on either side of center. And that's where we're going to poke our holes and use twine to bind our signature together. So essentially what you have here is 2/3 of this total distance is the distance between these two holes, and this distance plus this distance is a third. So that's how I'm using the rule of thirds on this. Once you have those marked, you can take your paper piercer and pierce through there. Do the same with the little booklet. But before we get ahead of ourselves and put these signatures together, I want to teach you some really fun techniques that we can use to really jazz up these ivory journaling spots and the craft mats on all of these tags. Okay, I am back, and sorry about that. I had to pause the video because of course I was completely unprepared and didn't have anything I needed to teach this technique. So Tim Holtz actually teaches this technique in his Creative Chemistry 101. He's also got it in his Volume 1 Compendium of Curiosities book on page 38. It's called Perfect Distress. And I really, really love this method. I will show you what it looks like. It's this. So you have this ink, and it's, I don't know if you could see the shimmer. It's got perfect pearls, and the ink kind of weeps out from behind the perfect pearls. Anyway, I love it. I love it, love it, love it. So anyways, I was getting some stamps and inks and all sorts of stuff ready. Almost had a heart attack because it took me a while to find my absolute favorite stamp. This is the Baroque stamp from Tim Holtz. It also comes in a set. And this, the grunge scroll. Those are my favorite flourishes. And flourishes always, you can use them in men's albums. I also pulled together the Distressed Damask stamps from Tim Holtz. And I'm going to focus on the journaling spots first as opposed to the craft paper. I do better when I do one thing at a time. So I pulled together some stamps with lines. This one here is the notebook stamp by Impression Obsession. And I have no idea. Look how much the foam has shrunk on the back of this. Why does that happen? I don't know. Anyway, I also pulled together School Desk from Tim Holtz. So this is a great one. And this is Curiosities by Tim Holtz. So I thought this one here might be kind of cool. So we'll see what fits, what I feel like. So those are the stamps I got. I pulled together some inks. I've got Antique Linen, some frayed burlap, and faded jeans. This faded jeans will pick up the blues in here really nicely. And Perfect Pearls I have is the Heirloom Gold Perfect Pearls by Ranger. It's like my favorite gold mica powder ever. So let me see. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is stamp the lines. And I'm not going to use a block because I don't want a nice perfect stamping. I want it to be different and cool and edgy. Now this stamp is going to be too short. This one's going to be too narrow. So I'm going with, I figured I would end up going with this notebook stamp anyway. So I'm going to stamp these pages plus the inside and outside mats. So all I do is I'm using the antique linen because I want it to almost look like a watermark, I think. Now let's go with it. And if I don't like it, I'll cut a new piece of paper. Or, hey, better yet, flip it over. So I'm applying ink to the entire stamp. Then I'm just going to take one piece of paper at a time. Get these guys out of my face here. And then, without using a block or anything, I'm just going to press this down. And you see what happens? You get darker areas, lighter areas, and it just suits the vintage feel of the album. And look at that, it even stamps. Fluke! Look how nice and straight I got it. Plus there's almost a little bit of a margin on the top, so that's why I turned it that way. So that gives you a reference to write on, lines to write on. Now I'm going to add some flourishes, but nothing too crazy. I think I'm going to go with a different flourish stamp, other than my favorite, I know. But it's lighter. You'll see what I mean. Okay, these are Tim Holtz stamps as well. This one, Flourish 2 and Flourish 1. You can get those in a set as well. Because I use these so often, I just like them on the wooden blocks. So I'm going to do this on the inside cover. I'm using frayed burlap. And I'm just going to ink part of the stamp. Okay, now, here's the key. When you're using distress inks, they work really well with perfect pearls, but that means when you're layering like I am, you want to dry this really well before you stamp your image to do your perfect pearls. What I was thinking is, you know how I talked about variety? This flourish stamp is quite open and airy. These are too. So I don't want to stamp a lighter damask over a lighter flourish. It just doesn't sit well with me. So I went and I grabbed this Birds and Baubles set, and I'm going to use this because it's quite heavy, if you know what I mean. Hopefully you know what I mean and you can see what I'm talking about. Crinkle, crinkle, bang, crash. Okay, hopefully I dried this enough. Okay, seriously guys, I keep getting interrupted. The phone rings, the husband texts, whatever. Anyways, I am back. We've done the background for this. Now comes the perfect distress part. I am going to use this damask stamp from the Birds and Baubles set. So what you do is you take your distress ink. It's got to be distress ink. You guys can't use archival or chalk ink or anything like that. You need something that's going to react with water. So you do that, and I'm going to stamp this over top of this flourish. I like having my stamps run off the edge of the tag. I don't know, it just looks, I like the look of it. Okay, so I did that. Now all you need, if you've never used Perfect Pearls before, you just need a dry brush. And pick some up with your brush and rub it onto the blue distress ink. Okay, so now I'm just going to lightly wipe it. And if you look, you can see a shimmer over top of that blue. Now, looks beautiful the way it is, but a couple things are wrong with this. Excuse me. Perfect Pearls needs to be lightly misted in order to be set. And what happens when you lightly mist this is the ink underneath the Perfect Pearls, like it sets the Perfect Pearls, but then the ink from under the Perfect Pearls kind of seeps out because it reacts with water. And I just had a thought. We're going to have a problem because I stamped with distress ink everywhere. So this is going to run, but we're going to go with it. Let's spray. Let's see what happens. I'm going to take this off camera because what I do is I spray up and then I hold the tag in the mist that rains down. And I don't want to be spraying you guys and my, well, you guys won't get wet, but my phone will, and that will make me very sad. So, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get a mini mister and fill it with water because it works better for this kind of thing. Hold on. And looky here, I have one that's full of water anyway. I am sorry guys, I feel like this tutorial is a complete and total cluster. I hope you're enjoying watching me just, I don't know what you want to call it. And I'm actually spraying it direct, but I'm holding back the sprayer probably about 2 feet or so. Now I'm going to dry this to stop the ink from running. And actually I'm surprised, I guess the other lines and images didn't run too much. You can see I got some water there, but I don't know, I kind of like it. It kind of adds to it. And look at that. Perfect distress. So the Perfect Pearls has stayed in place and is set, and the ink is kind of wicked out from underneath. So really cool. But you know what? I'm not done with this. I am going to ink all the edges. Because I've been using this black ink. Where did my Prima thing go? There it is. On all the other papers, I'm just going right around the very edge with the black ink just to kind of help tie everything together. Plus, you know what, I really love the look of the edges when they're distressed with 2 different color inks. They just look great. So there. Voila! That is Perfect Distress for you. And actually I'm going to do all of my journaling papers with this kind of method. I'm going to switch up where I put the damask, where I put the flourish, that kind of thing. I might actually mix this flourish with this flourish at times too to do the Perfect Distress. I don't know. I'm going to go with it. So let me finish doing the rest of the papers for this booklet, this first booklet, and then I will put it together and show you how I finished it off. So I'm just gonna, you know what, I'm gonna speed up the film so you guys can see exactly what I'm doing. with me. Okay, I'm just going to stop for a second here and make a comment. You see how I didn't get the full image because I didn't ink past that? I was originally going to do kind of mirror image to this one. So I had, you know, the perfect distress here, another thing there. But oopsies. So you know what? I'm going to fix it. And I'm going to be then, that's why I decided to move this stamp. So I'm going to have, you know, this stamp. I'll use Damask or the other flourish in here with the perfect distress to kind of help hide that. And then I put this kind of, you know, a third way up from the bottom just to kind of offset it. I don't know. I just thought it would look better that way. So let's keep going.
We express the same things, but with different words. We acknowledge the same curve, and those might have hurt. It's like the last line you draw to remind a past time, a fast minded feeling of freedom, please to be recognized. And I can hear your doctors calling from here to say, kill bias, independency, and ocular seal, cause the young himself is stealthy mass appeal. Where's my muse? Where's my muse? It is like every word slipping through my mouth has been used. Staggering like the old man feeding a third. With my glass I reflecting half the things that I've learned. A windowless frame in a transparent room, filling up cracks with plastic assumes. Shape shift, nuance, venue.
So what I'm doing here, you guys, is this is actually going to be the center page. And I'm just masking this side of the paper so I don't get any of the lines on. I'm not worried about the lines matching across the center of this because this is going to be like, I don't know, page 2 and 7, something like that. Anyways, so they don't have to line up because the other signature is going to be in here.
Don't stop dreaming cause this ain't over. Break up your life until you get sober. Don't stop dreaming cause this ain't over, my friend.
Okay, now we're into the center, and this is a little trickier. How do you get your lines lined up? You know what? You don't. That's what I say. So I am going to actually keep the edge of my stamp lifted, and I'm going to try to kind of, you know, do that. So you see some lines here, and you can see the actual edge of my stamped image goes like that. And I'm going to turn this around and do the same thing, because then you don't have to worry about getting your lines lined up, but they're still kind of there to give the person the idea or impression to actually write or journal.
Don't stop dreaming cause this ain't over. Break up your life until you get sober. Don't stop dreaming cause this ain't over, my friend. I've risen myself as I walk along the weary, moldy watching. I found myself staring, building up an empire of my great desire. Well, the fumes from my thought process takes me higher, higher and higher. Ain't stopping there. My avalanche of color starts over there, and I've got the solitary key to go through. Gray and delicious, but traps can be so vicious. Prepare for the ultimate takedown. Part-time experience might save you from deliverance, but will it serve the greater cause? Don't stop dreaming
Okay, now I'm done distressing all these pages. You can see I got a little carried away with the water sometimes, but honestly, I think it looks cool. You can also see I must have not wiped my mat off very well and got some ink on the pages. But you know what? That doesn't bother me. This is the thing. I'm such a perfectionist when it comes to measurements and stuff. That's why I like doing distressed, is because those little mistakes and that mess look awesome. Okay, now that we have our pages done, we're ready to put our signatures together. You can see that I've gone ahead and I've adhered the front and back mats to the covers, I guess you want to say. I just used 1/4-inch score tape like I did for all the mats on the tags. And I am using this jute twine to put these together. So I'm going to want to tie it on the outside. Make sure I have everything the right way up. I'm going to start by going in the hole that we pierced here, if I can find it. Yes, there we go. And then we're going to go, having a hard time. Where's my hole? That sounded rude. Anyway, there we go. I'm probably making this look like much more difficult than it really is. Because of all the inking and stuff, it's hard for me to see where I pierced those original holes. Okay, got that. So in through the cover, up through both pages, and I'm going to go down through these holes. Here, Rebel, I'm doing all three together at once. Sorry guys, I'm having a hard time. I cut this thumb, so it's kind of tender. Okay. The Rebel look is not working for me right now. There we go. I did it! I'm going to take this needle off. Want to make sure your string is nice and tight in there, but not so tight that you're going to tear the covers or your pages or anything. Now the trick is tying a nice tight knot in here so that your pages stay together all nice and tightly. It really helps if you have little ones with an extra finger. Not too shabby. I can't complain about that too much. Okay, and now I'm just going to clip off the ends. And last but not least, I like to pull the jute apart. There we go. I like it. So this is what our first signature looks like. There's that inside. So you can see that I use the same flourish stamp throughout for the inked flourishes, and then I alternated between the damask and the other heavier flourish, my favorite. On each page there's a damask and a flourish. Okay, so now we're ready to do something with the craft picture mats on the backs of many of these tags. I don't like leaving them blank like this. I like dressing them up a little bit, but we're not going to go overboard. We're just going to use some simple stamping and embossing techniques and do some layering. And you know what, it's simple techniques, but looks really, really cool at the end of the day. So I'm going to use for the background this Impression Obsession stamp. It's called CAC script. And because this is quite an open script, I opted to go with the Baroque Flourish and the Damask because they're heavier stamps, just to frame the picture mat. So rather than starting with the background script, I'm actually going to start with the Flourish and the Damask. And I'm going to do something somewhat similar. I'm going to use blue, I think, the Faded Jeans for the flourishes. I'm actually going to use ultra fine, or I guess it's super fine, clear embossing powder. I just find that the chunky stuff doesn't work as well when stamping with the distress ink. And you'll notice I didn't bother using my embossing buddy, partially because I don't care if there's strays. We're doing a distress look. There we go. And it's kind of cool how that turns into almost like a navy blue when it's embossed on the craft. And you can see how I try not to have the same amount of stamp in each corner, like I've got less here than over here. And I do that intentionally. I think it looks more interesting. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is stamp some script in the background, and I'm going to use the antique linen because I want it to be faint. And I'm going to use the same stamping technique as we did with the lines on the signatures here, just because I don't want a nice, solid, perfect looking stamped image. And the reason I did the embossing first is because then I don't have to worry about drawing the tag between stamping the background and this. With the other technique, I'd be really hesitant to do it the other way around. So there we go. That's all I'm going to do, and I'm not going to do them all the same. I'm going to do some variation of this, I think, for all of them. So your homework for the week is to do the perfect distress technique and, you know, add some journaling lines and stuff like that to all of your ivory journaling spots. Build your 3 signatures. Attach all the journaling spots onto the rest of the tags. Then go through all your craft picture mats and do the simple stamping embossing technique that I showed you here, and adhere those to the back of all your tags. So your tag should be completely done. And you know what? So next week I'll show you what all my tags look like, and we'll get started on embellishing the pages. Finally, yay! This is going to get really fun. So I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. I hope you learned something, and have a great week, have a great weekend. Chat at you later. Ciao.